Spencer, remember when we made banana bread?
I do. It turned out really well, didn't it?
It was really good.
It was really easy to make. It was, frankly, it was cheap. And,
It was health?
it was, it was pretty, it has bananas, there's fruit.
And sugar.
Lots of sugar. And the best part is that it goes with pretty much every meal, if your meal works with that.
That's true. Here's how you make it. Spencer,
Yes.
what are we doing today?
Today we're going to be making banana bread with some of the things here on this table, all of which can be found pretty standardly in any kitchen. You don't really have to go to the grocery store. So we're going to be making banana bread, which is an easy, quick, and tasty treat, and I'm excited.
Me too. So what are we going to need?
We're going to need a couple things. We're going to need banana. You know what? Let's just actually cut to a list. It'll be a lot easier that way, and you'll see everything that we need. So the first thing you're going to need is about a half a cup of butter and about a cup of sugar. We're going to melt this and then mix it in with the sugar. So an easy way to do that is most slabs of butter, whatever you want to call this, has measurements on the side, and you can just cut along the line, pop it in a bowl, and throw it in the microwave until it's about soft. So it's 2 minutes. Yeah, that's melted. Alright. Make sure you're careful when you pull out the butter. It's a hot bowl. Got about half cup of melted butter. Now, sugar. This is pretty easy. Just gotta it's a cup of sugar right there. Just right like that. Tip. Use a bigger bowl. Bowl's very hot. So if you're smarter than us, you'll have gotten a bigger bowl, but right now we're not smarter than us, so we're gonna have to transfer all of this to a bigger bowl.
The transfer is an important step in the process.
It really makes cooking a sexy thing. Ah, that's hot. Make sure you get all the butter in there. Butter is what makes it taste good. All right, so now we're back to the races. You gotta mix that up, and then you're on your way.
All right, we got butter and sugar.
Yep. So we've got the butter and sugar together now, which is important to note. You'll want to mix it until it looks kind of like applesauce or barf. I don't really know, but that's what it should look like. The next step, whatever you want to call it, is the eggs. Crack them in a bowl, which so happens to be the same bowl that we used beforehand, but hey, cooking is about sharing. Just get a nice... Cooking is also about making a mess.
Oh. Oh.
Hey, got it. There you go. All right. Important trick is you're just going to mix these up. It's going to make it easier later in the process when you mix everything, because that's just how this works. Next thing is you're going to want to grab these bananas for the delicious banana bread.
But Spencer, these bananas look horrible and gross.
I would agree. I'm inclined to agree. But the truth is that the longer the bananas sit, the longer the sugars have to get into the bananas, which means that the actual banana bread will be better. You're going to want about three is probably a good number, gross old bananas. And what you're going to do is, this part's not going to be very attractive. Oh gosh, wow.
Not like the rest of this.
Oh god, yeah. Okay. We're going to cut to the finished product here because I'm going to have some trouble getting these out of their peels. But you're going to want to get them out of the peel into a mixing bowl, and you're going to want to mush them up until they're kind of a fine, mushy mush. Once you get the bananas in the bowl and you mush them up, they're gonna look kind of like this. It's gonna be a lot of mushy textures before you start. But one trick is use a fork, use the back end of the fork, and just push the bananas into the edge of the mixing bowl, and then you'll get a nice consistency, something that you'll be looking for.
So up next. Oh,
Oh.
what?
We've switched places, it seems.
The next step is going to be to mix all of what you've done so far into one giant, amazing pre-cooked concoction. First up, egg,
Just get that in there.
and now your buttery, sugary goop.
You're gonna want to mix it until all of it is kind of a nice creamy texture. This is the step right before we add the sugar and the flour, so it's important that you make sure that all of the elements are kind of nicely mixed.
Next, we're gonna need 1.5 cups of flour. So there's the half. Next up, you're gonna want to add a teaspoon of baking soda. Arm & Hammer, the good stuff. Get a little bit in there. All right, next you.
We switch places again. Now you have everything in the bowl. Again, kind of the same process. It's a lot of the same, but you're just gonna mix it. And what's gonna happen is the consistency is gonna get a lot thicker because you're now adding flour into the mix and baking soda. So we're just gonna mix this all the way in until you get like a nice, almost kind of a doughy consistency. Our next step is to add a teaspoon of vanilla. The danger is that I've heard that if you have too much of this, it can make you vomit. I don't know if that's true. So when you're doing this, make sure you have the right amount of...
It's a tablespoon.
I'll eyeball it. That looks about right. About a teaspoon. You can really smell it. But that's gonna help make it taste a lot better. And of course, make sure you mix it in until it's nice and healthy.
Isn't there a vanilla challenge?
Cool, so once you have the entire mix in your mixing bowl, you want to get the loaf pan. One thing that's important is making sure that your loaf pan is nicely greased with some Pam or some olive oil or anything really, but we're using Pam. You just want to really make sure it's nice and... This is important. Wow, it smells like aerosol. Oh, it makes the banana bread not stick to the pan and make sure that you can eat it.
Sorry, pan?
The Pam, and then another thing that also helps a little bit, kind of grab a little bit of flour and just sort of put it in, and then just kind of dust it around.
Dancing.
You make a mess when you cook. That's just kind of what happens. So you got a nice, just like that. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, you pour the mixture.
That's gonna be our bread.
This is dinner for the next week and a half. All right, so that's just about what it should look like at the very end. So just as reference, we are now going to put it into the oven. You're gonna want it in the oven, preheated at 350 for an hour, I believe. Although, if I'm incorrect, we'll put some kind of a thing right there. Let's put her in. Now, this is what a loaf of banana bread looks like. I've never quite seen it kind of rise like that before, but that doesn't mean it's not good, because as Tim always says, never judge a book by its cover. Now, I'd like to try and get this out of the loaf pan and onto this here paper towel. Now, this is where we thank ourselves for having Pammed the pan.
You might want to let it cool for viewers at home.
If you're... Nope. All right, there we go. For people who don't have asbestos fingers like me, that's hot. You might want to wait for it to cool, but I'm impatient. Let's just cut into it for some fun. Ooh, perfect. You get that that crunch on the outside, but you get that perfect moistness on the inside. That's exactly the color you'll want it to be. If you want it more moist or more dense, you can put 4 bananas in it, but that's not exactly everybody's preference. That's more of kind of a taste thing. But